r/ask Reddit. What's the most disturbing realization you've come to? That the text you sent to that girl might come off as douchey. Maybe you should send another text to clear up the potential misunderstanding. Oh god, you made it worse. I avoid this issue by never texting girls, open bracket, though the fact that they won't give me their numbers might make it even easier. I finished the message and watched as it sent. But what if she looked and mistook my intent, misread my approach as pathetic and meek, my teasing remark for a scathing critique, and what if she'd really expected a call, and how would I know if she read it at all, and what if she read it and misunderstood, and had I delayed it as long as I could? It's settled, I whispered, another will do, a simple addition, a chaser, or two. Apostrophe. The message was written, the second was spun. I waited a moment. Oh, what have I done? My 3 brothers' birthdays are all within a 3-week range. One day I did the math and subtracted 9 months and realized the epicenter of their birthdays was 9 months and 2 days after dad's birthday. Well, at least you know mom was consistent with dad's gifts. Ugh, unprotected sex again. That as I get older, the people and things I've admired are going away and not existing anymore. This was a big one for me. Lots of false idols. Very few real ones. I don't know if they're false idols, as much as unrealistic expectations for individuals. We desire such perfection from the people we admire, but that doesn't take into consideration that every person has flaws. I find I do better when I temper my expectations from people, acknowledge the negatives, but admire the positives. Human beings are far more complex than black and white. Every time you hear about someone escaping from captivity after years of abuse, I realize there are still people being held that we don't know about and may never know about. Edit. Recently saw Room and rewatched 10 Cloverfield Lane, and after reading about the toy box murders I always think about who might still be out there. I bet we don't know who the worst serial killer in history was. We will never know about the perfect crime. My wife and I realize that one of us will die before the other, leaving the other alone for an indeterminate amount of time. You might both die in a horrible fire. I like your optimism. My whole life I've always felt like I was searching for something or meant to do great things and just haven't found that something. I'm slowly starting to realize that there is a very good possibility that this may never be the case. I'm not sure how I feel about it either. When I was a young man, I wanted to change the world. When I found I could not change the world, I tried to change my nation. When I found I could not change the nation, I tried to change my town. When I found I could not change the town, I tried to change my family. Now, as an old man, I realize the only thing I can change is myself. And suddenly I realize that if long ago I had changed myself, I could have made an impact on my family and I could have made an impact on our town. Their impact could have changed the nation, and I could indeed have changed the world. Open bracket. Unknown monk 1100 AD. But if this story is read by a ton of people updated by a bunch of people actually believed by some people becomes a guiding principle for just one person, then that person will change themselves when they are young. While they still have time, and the author will have still changed the world. I read a book that blew my mind. The main character goes crazy when he realizes no one really knows him. The gist is that the person you think of as yourself exists only for you, and even you don't really know who that is. Every person you meet, have a relationship with, or make eye contact on the street with, creates a version of you in their heads. You're not the same person to your mom, your dad, your siblings, than you are to your co-workers, your neighbors, or your friends. There are 1,000 different versions of yourself out there, in people's minds, and you exists in each version. And yet your you, yourself, isn't really a someone at all. From Uno, Nisuno, Sintomala by Luigi Pirandello. Edit. Thanks for the gold. First one, : for those interested in reading the book, look for it as 1, None, and 100,000 by Luigi Pirandello. Bear in mind that this novel is not one of Pirandello's most famous ones, so it's hard to find it anywhere, let alone translated. Edit. U/procrastination has found the book online and translated for free. Google 1, None and 100,000 Gutenberg to find it. It's the first link. The point I made in this comment is perfectly explained on chapter 4 IV, the way in which I wanted to be alone as I ran on like this. A fresh anxiety laid hold of me, the realization that I should not be able, while living, to depict myself to myself in the actions of my life, to see myself as others saw me, to set my body off in front of me and see it living like the body of another. When I took up my position in front of a mirror, something like a lull occurred inside me. All spontaneity vanished. Every gesture impressed me as being fictitious or a repetition. I could not see myself live. That is an extremely interesting and horrifyingly accurate explanation. Be right back. Existential Crisis eyeing. You should read the book. The mere freak out the main character has is narrated as a comedy. It all unfolds when his wife makes a remark about his nose, and the fact that it bends a bit to the right, or left, can't remember, and he realizes he always saw himself as straight-nosed man, and all this time his wife thought she had been married to a slightly askew-nosed person instead. The fact that the author chose something as small as a bend in the nose to unravel this man's crisis is simple genius. Editing to add the name of the book here since the original comment is apparently deleted. I still see it. WTF. It's a no. Nessuno. Sintomola by Luigi Pirandello. Italian. Translated as one. None. 100,000. No matter how sweet and nice you are to people doesn't mean they will care about you. Can confirm. Source. I don't care about you. Come on. I said I was sorry. The older you get, time seems to speed up. I recently bought my first house, and by recently I mean 2015. It feels like it was yesterday that I bought it, and it's been 2 years already. Our perception of time is logarithmic. It is indeed disturbing, because from that perspective, assuming you're in your 20s, you've already experienced more than half of your life. It messed with me a little bit when I turned 26 and realized that I had been out of college for longer than I attended it. So many friendships, memories, experiences that shaped who I am took place in what's becoming a smaller and smaller interval of my life. I've had the same job since I graduated, one that I always thought of as temporary. I've been at the job 6 years now and I don't feel I've gained barely anything as a person from it as compared to the years at school. As a young teenager celebrating New Year with all the extended family, I noticed my great-grandfather celebrating with everyone else. It dawned on me that one day it might be me in his shoes, celebrating with my family, yet virtually everyone celebrating with me in that future are total strangers to me now, and almost everyone I know and love around me now will be strangers or distant memories to those people I don't know yet whom I will call family. Well, shit. If you're lucky, thinking this way helped me. That I am that friend. The one people only call when everyone else is busy. You need to go out and make better friends. I know I hate it when people say that like it's the easiest thing in the world, because it's not. It's really ducking hard as an adult to get out and find people that you really connect with and share interests with and want to spend time with whose lives aren't already full. The best advice I could give is to find some hobbies that really interest you, and dive headfirst into them, and then try to find groups of people who do that thing. Be the caller. That people tend to judge others based on action, not intent. One out of character statement or action can permanently alter others' perception of you. And we judge ourselves on intent, not action. That's called attribution bias. What we did was always because of something around us that happened. I had to cut across traffic because I almost missed my exit, while what others did is because of how they think internally. He cut me off because he is a jerk. Close bracket. That most people choose convenience over compassion. I think this is super apparent with how disposable all our products are nowadays. Don't feel like washing dishes? Plastic water bottles and paper plates. Don't want to tinker with that machine that just broke? Order a new one on Amazon and it will here tomorrow. People don't give the time of day to realize the repercussions of this convenience. If you look at it another way, though, those are also examples of rational decision making. Maybe spending 3 hours to take apart a toaster oven that will probably fail again isn't a good investment of your time compared to the $100 it costs to get a new one. That time could be spent with family or friends, or on more enjoyable hobbies. Maybe that's worth $100 to some, to each their own, I say. From the very first time I met my sister, when I was 2 and got to hold her when she came home from the hospital, I knew I had an ally, a co-conspirator against the United Parent Front. Whatever else came up, when it came down to it, we had each other's backs. I mean, sure we had our tiffs, what siblings don't, but she was the most caring, loving person I have ever known. She would do almost anything for me if I really needed it, even if I didn't realize I needed it. Almost anything. I needed her to not kill herself. In the end, that was the one thing she could not do. That in turn almost killed me. It was the hardest thing I've ever had to live through. But I have lived through that. I have, for the most part, learned to cope. What disturbs me now is those future plans we had which now will never be. For example, there's a statue in my parents' library my father had made for my mother's birthday when my sister was 4 and I 6. My father, sister, and I modeled a few times over the course of a month before my mother's birthday, and it was really difficult for us to keep the secret at that age. But we did. The sculptor used photos of my mom for her part. Despite all the effort that went into it, it's really an ugly sculpture, but we can't really get rid of it because of the memories. My sister and I always joked that when my parents both died we'd have to decide who had to keep the sculpture. We'd then gift it back and forth to each other in funny or discreet ways. Talking about that plan for that ugly sculpture could always make us smile. Now that ugly sculpture will be all mine. I won't be able to give it to my sister or sneak it into her house, but I can't get rid of it because of the memories. That thought, among many of its kind, is one of my most disturbing. I will never get to attend her wedding nor she mine. I will never be an uncle to her children nor she an aunt to mine. All those future plans, some I knew and some I still realize year on year that I think always expected, none will be. There are few things so disturbing. My dad died when I was 16. One of the hardest things to deal with is that this is a forever problem. He didn't see me graduate high school or college, and he won't be there when I get married. Every milestone in my life will be slightly tinged with grief because my dad won't ever be there. I frequently have things I want to discuss with him, like the steps in my apartment that have hinged tops and are little storage compartments. He was a carpenter and would have loved them. There are constant reminders that my dad is gone and I hate that it is a forever problem. People tell you to be strong and expect you to move on eventually, but although I'm no longer crying every day, this grief isn't something that really ends. It just becomes manageable. My sister and I are very close. Having felt the pain of losing my father, I can only imagine that it's got to be a little worse to lose your sibling. Sorry for so many words. I just wanted to say that I understand where you are coming from and it's awful. I'm 6 years away from being the same age my dad was when he passed away. This is hitting my older brother and I hard. 35 seemed so old when I was 9. I feel it's way too young at this point. Forgotten memories won't return. Every time you remember something, it's like painting over faded paint, and you distort it slightly until almost all of it is imagination. Edit. Space. Sometimes I think about something I may well never have thought of again for the rest of my life, and I wonder if that's the last time I will ever think about that memory, and it makes me kind of sad. Same goes for people. When I leave a job, I wonder which of these people I'll never see again. Some older people you see on the street won't be around in a few years. Even the strangers in the street, especially the ones you may see repeatedly and simply don't remember them enough to make an association with their faces. At least one person you see today may never be seen again by you. I know that it's not really a big deal, but it just sort of gets to me. This world is just so circumstantial, like there's no apparent reason for any of it. And here we are experiencing each other's existence for these little moments. Two ships passing in the night. Life is so beautiful, and yet so tragically temporary. Flip side, things you don't want to remember will go that way too. That time you said something really awkward to that person and cringe really hard whenever you think about it. There will be a day when you think about it for the last time and never again. I wonder how many of these times you already forgot. No matter how much someone you love is ruining their own life, they are the only person who can do anything to change themselves. Ducking, tell me about it. The fact that I essentially have no power to help them if they aren't willing to accept it drives me nuts sometimes. That in a few generations of my family, no one will remember who I am. Have you considered becoming a ghost? I'd prefer a vampire, but that might be a bit more challenging. That I am painfully, boringly normal in most ways, and only unique in ways that distance me from those I prefer to be closer to. Nothing wrong with that, although, if you want to be a little more interesting, start going through random hobbies and find something you really love. I really love doing insane day hikes up mountains. Unfortunately, not too many people are into that. My parents will actually die one day. Every time I think about this, I think about how it is better for my parents when I outlive them, and this is the way of life. I can't even imagine what pain it'd be to visit your own child's funeral. My cat's crusty butt has touched everything on my desk. One of my friends works at a vet's office. They have one of those naked cats as kind of like their unofficial mascot, and she just roams around doing naked cat things. But apparently what no one tells you about naked cats is that there's no fur to stop their buttholes from suction cupping all the surfaces they sit on. So her office just makes their intern follow this cat around and clean up all its butt puckers off the glass. I am a grizzled internet veteran of many years and many battles, but not even I was prepared for the term butt puckers. I will never truly be able to understand another person, their experiences, thoughts and emotions. On the same line of thought, I've realized the immense isolation of the mind. How alone can one be inside its own head? Not only will you never truly understand anybody, but nobody will ever truly understand you. This is why we need the Borg. This is why we should be assimilated. My cat doesn't try to eat me just because I'm bigger. Never stopped mine from giving it a shot. You don't need to sell me on cats. I'm already a fan. My mother was sexually assaulted by her father for her entire childhood. I had grown up sleeping on her childhood bed frame. The realization that she probably was raped multiple times on the bed frame that I grew up sleeping on hit me one night in 8th grade. I couldn't stop puking. Or think instead, your mother replaced brutal memories with loving ones of her tucking you in each night. I don't know when the last time was I saw optimism of such scale. I love you. That the purpose of your adult life is to save money so you don't run out of money when you can't work anymore. I hadn't thought of it like that before, and now I need a hug, a hug won't save you. So many misunderstandings and innocent mistakes have far-reaching consequences. A couple months ago, I asked my brother why he never sang along to our old favorite songs with me anymore. Turns out 10 years ago, I jokingly told him that he sucked at singing, and he had never sang around people since. I've been ducked up over that for a while. This is why you never, ever tell someone they have a silly or dumb or embarrassing laugh. I can't imagine how shitty it would feel to be self-conscious about the noise you make when you are so overcome with joy, happiness, silliness and all the other good things in life. Edit. Some of these comments hurt my heart. I wish I had not left this comment. I am consciously self-sabotaging myself in almost every aspect of my life. That for the most part everyone is just winging it all the time and about everything, so no one knows what they are doing. This was more comforting than disturbing for me. It means I'm not the only one that doesn't know what I'm doing. That being the grown-up, adult, parent, doesn't give me any more answers to everything in life than it did before. And then realizing that my parents were also just as lost, making it up as they go. Someone really should have told us. Sitting in my Western Civ history class, I realized all the historic figures we know and love are either batshit crazy or narcissistic. Yeah, you don't realize until like those last couple of history courses that people are either shitty, crazy, or both. The things I used to like about myself are no longer things that describe me. I was birthday sex. I was let's try to fix our relationship by having a baby sex lol. Same. My poor sister was, okay didn't work, try again. Arthur C. Clarke said it best for me, 2 possibilities exist, either we are alone in the universe or we are not. Both are equally terrifying. I would say, both are equally exciting. As someone in the military, it was kind of terrifying seeing some of the people I served with. Like, the American public tends to think we are all hard-working heroes and in reality we're a bunch of dumb ducks straight outta high school. Can confirm. Boyfriend is a marine and his favorite crayon color to eat is yellow. Edit, I'm not even joking. I had to take yogurt based body wash from him because he thought it could double as a snack. That our sphere of influence as the human race is actually very small. Outside of our own perceptions, our existence is completely meaningless to not only the universe but the world itself. If we all died tomorrow, it wouldn't matter to anything else but us. Edit. To everyone bringing up your dogs. Yes, they would be sad, but that's missing the point. The amount of wealth inequality in this world, more importantly, how the rich can just give an insignificant amount of money to the poor and completely change poor people's lives. And still not many do it. I visited a poor rural government school in India. Most kids there are from extremely poor backgrounds. The government gives free lunch to the kids in school, and this is an incentive for these kids to stay in school. When I went, I realized these kids did not have plates because the government did not pay for that and expected people to bring their own. Almost half of the kids could not do that, so they would wait for the other half to finish eating and then use their plates. This broke my heart. So I offered to buy every kid in the school plates for lunch. It cost me $100 to buy plates for 200 kids. Next afternoon, I could see that all the kids suddenly felt like they had the biggest luxury in the world. Have their own plates for food. Each kid could not stop smiling and treated their plates like the most valuable possession they had. I will never forget that. I was thinking to myself, these kids did not ask to be born to a poor family in a third world country. Sometimes the world is just not fair. I wish rich people realize how lucky they were and would do more to reduce suffering of others not as lucky as them. That everyone in my house, husband and 2 kids, has been in my vagina. Thanks for the chuckle in this depressing thread. There was a post in Shower Thoughts a week or 2 ago where the OP said something about how he thought we should be able to just turn off our phones and disconnect from social media etc for a couple days if we wanted without having to feel weird about it or explain ourselves to anyone. It kind of ducked me up because I realized I probably could do just that and no one would even notice. In fact, it would take a lot longer than a couple days before anyone noticed. I've ruined my future. It's never too late to try to turn the train around. Trust me, been turning for 5 years now. That's a long ass turn though. Mental illness doesn't go away, you just have to deal with it. People can be absolutely evil, heartless beings. Once you see firsthand the terrible, violent and gruesome things one person can do to another, it opens your eyes. I will always be suspicious of every person I meet now. Law enforcement is one of those jobs that truly changes how you see the world. That I'm a lazy ducking bitch who always makes excuses for not getting shit done rather than getting shit done. School, half a lifetime of work, brief freedom, death. School, a few months of work, chemo, 18 months, autologous stem cell transplant, 2 years now. Either the allogenic transplant works, 30%, or death in 2 years. I want to have a full career so badly. Even when I was young, that's what I wanted. I'll never enjoy the same quality of life as my parents did despite having a master's degree living well below my means. This isn't to hate on baby boomers at all, just realizing things are different. Still pretty great overall. Edit. I'm not saying things aren't good. Open bracket. See above. I'm saying for my set of circumstances, personally things are different. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.